and WDGL HD2. Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. About half the work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Our Wednesday staples coming at you today. JD PicKell 15 minutes from right now. Huge weekend in college football last weekend. Big one coming this weekend. We'll get his thoughts on LSU A&M and the rest of the slate in college football. It's a What If Wednesday. Already got plenty of those filing in on Twitter. It was a busy morning for my Twitter. A lot of that was uniform related, but we'll talk about a lot that went on my Twitter at 1:34 What If Wednesday. We'll hear from Garrett Nussmeier a little bit later with the sound he gave to the press yesterday. Got some matchups to watch for LSU and Texas A&M. And, of course, SEC football power rankings coming at you at the bottom of hour number 2. So lots and lots and lots to get to. We appreciate you locking us in here on the Hunt Palmer Show. We got to talk about Alvin Kamara, so let's get started.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
All right, news breaking yesterday after further review, just after we went off the air, that the Saints have agreed to terms on a contract extension for running back Alvin Kamara. That new contract going to be 2 more years in length, $24.5 million. And AK will be in New Orleans for a couple of more seasons. And as many people have alluded to in this report, it's likely he retires a New Orleans Saint. AK right there at 30 years old. Looking at a 32-year-old running back, financially taken care of over the course of the last 8 years in New Orleans, and you figure this may be it for him. I'm not as concerned with when he's retiring, more so concerned with this news and what it means for him and what it means for the New Orleans Saints. And I have some layered thoughts on this decision. You kind of figured this was coming. This is not new news that Kamara wanted to get an extension done. It is not new news that he wanted to be in New Orleans and continue to play as a New Orleans Saint. And it's not new news that those two parties, Kamara and the Saints, have been back and forth, but hadn't quite gotten to the finish line, and they finally did yesterday. I want to start with this because I know this is the way that most people feel, and I don't think it is the incorrect place to start. This match, this draft pick, the production, the player, the locker room fit, everything Alvin Kamara has done since he was drafted by the New Orleans Saints in the 3rd round has been absolutely exemplary. He's been a phenomenal player, a Saints Hall of Famer, a record holder, most touchdowns in the history of the franchise. He's been a model citizen in the city. He's been a consistent through the turmoil of this Breeze Payton era turnover into the Alan Carr years. He's played hurt. He's played through a contract dispute. He's been a great player. And that piece is so admirable. In an era of transfer portal, this and that, the college game that we cover, and trade demands and holdouts that you see all over professional sports all the time, for Alvin Kamara to act as professionally as he has acted throughout this entire process has been incredible. He's gone above and beyond. He could have sat down with a broken rib, with no offensive line and no quarterback and no wide receivers early in this season. He did not. He put a flak jacket on, he took the football, and he ran into a brick wall. That is not nothing. It is incredible to watch and cover. And I think the Saints continuing to engage in these discussions has been admirable, and these two are obviously a match that they both want to continue, and that's a positive thing. There's another side to this, and this is a side that I have been talking about really since the summer. I'm not here to tell you that Alvin Kamara, as a football player, is definitely not worth $12.25 million a year over 2 years. I think you could easily make the case that he is. You look at the production that he has had as a football player. You look at what he did the first 2 weeks of this season when the Saints were healthy and playing great football. He was exceptionally productive. He was the cornerstone of the Saints offense. And as you look around the league at some of the backs in the league, yeah, there are guys making more than that. Christian McCaffrey's on $19 million a year. Jonathan Taylor makes $14 million a year. Saquon Barkley makes $12.5 million a year. And those guys are incredibly productive. McCaffrey when he's on the field, obviously. But this is the Saints we're talking about. This is not the 49ers. This is not the Eagles. This is not perennial contenders in the NFC. This is a roster that is old and expensive. And I don't believe sinking $12.25 million a year into running back is a good idea. That has nothing to do with Alvin Kamara. Nothing. It has everything to do with the state of the Saints roster. I've got a list here of the top running backs this year in terms of yardage. Derrick Henry makes $8 million. You're going to pay AK $12.25. Jordan Mason in San Francisco makes $985,000. We mentioned Saquon, $12.5. Josh Jacobs makes $12, really productive in Green Bay. Chuba Hubbard makes $1 million. James Conner, $7 million, but that's half of AK almost. It's like 60%. Bijan Robinson, 5.5. J.K. Dobbins, 1.6. I'm not telling you in a vacuum that Alvin Kamara is not worth $12.25 million over 2 years when he's in his 30s. I don't know that. What I know is the Saints have 2 wide receivers worth a damn, and one of them had knee surgery. They got nothing behind that. I know the Saints' defensive front has been a sieve, and Cam Jordan's old, and Chase Young's on the last year of his 1-year deal. I know DeMario Davis is beyond his prime. I know Tyrann Mathieu is beyond his prime. I know Paulson Adebo just got carted off the field, and he's out of years on his contract. I know the Saints have holes everywhere. And sinking $12 million, which is top 4 in the NFL for running back, is not a good use of funds, in my opinion. There are too many issues on this roster to give $12 million a year to Alvin Kamara. And once again, because I feel like it is important to continue to beat this drum, that has nothing to do with Alvin Kamara. It has everything to do with the state of this roster. You need to get younger and cheaper. You just got older, and you didn't get any cheaper because Alvin Kamara is still going to be making $12 million. And that's not the direction the Saints need to go. This is a franchise, for better or for worse, and at times it's been better and at times it's been worse, has always, always, always clung to trying to stay competitive and holding on for dear life. That's what their MO has been. And that's not always a bad thing. But to me, analyzing this situation, unbiased, because y'all know this, I don't have a lot of emotional attachment to whether or not the Saints win on Sundays. I just think this is for worse. I think this is... What good is Alvin Kamara if your offensive line can't block? What good is Alvin Kamara if you don't have a passing game because you don't have any wide receivers to throw to? What good is Alvin Kamara if your defense is giving up more yards than anyone in the sport? What good is Alvin Kamara at that point? Not great. He's been out there for 5 games. The Saints have lost all 5. It has nothing to do with him. I think it's reasonable to expect Alvin Kamara at the end of this 2-year extension, when he is 31 years old, to be a pretty damn good NFL football player. My concern is the Saints are going to miss out on 2 other potential good football players who might play defensive tackle and wide receiver because they're paying Alvin Kamara. That's my concern. There are running backs available every year late in the draft, undrafted free agents. I mean, I can just bring this home to New Orleans. Y'all know the Pierre Thomas story, and I'm not trying to belittle Pierre Thomas and suggest you can just find Pierre Thomas wherever you want to look. That's not the case. But you're more likely to find Pierre Thomas than you are a franchise left tackle or right tackle, and you're holding on for dear life at right tackle. You're more likely to find Pierre Thomas late in the draft or in undrafted free agency than you are an elite pass rusher. You got to go find more secondary pieces. Maybe McKinstry and Lattimore and Alontae Taylor are it, but Tyrann Mathieu not going to last the end of this contract that Alvin Kamara has. So I just don't agree with the decision. I just don't agree. I think there are too many issues to sink that amount of money. You cannot pay a running back top $4 in the NFL with McCaffrey, Taylor, Barkley, and Jacobs when you have that many issues across your roster. I just don't believe in it. And I do not believe in a lifetime achievement award for a player. Thanks for the last 8 years. Here's $24 million over 2 because you were awesome 5 years ago. That's not how this works. You have to pay players for the production they give you on that deal. And I don't believe that Alvin Kamara will give you the production on this deal that merits that amount of money because the guys around him aren't good enough. That's just the way I feel about it. That's our opening drive presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge. We'll certainly get Luke Johnson's thoughts on it tomorrow. I'll welcome your thoughts on Twitter at HuntPalmer88 or, of course, in the Bayou Ford chat, whatever you may think. Again, I don't have anything against Alvin Kamara. I'm so impressed by his professionalism. And I've loved watching him play. It's a joy to watch play. The Saints aren't in position to pay him that money. That's just the way I see it. You're a Saints guy.
This feels like a move that Mickey Loomis is making to almost I'm not going to say that he's making it to appease the fans, but at the same time, when he understands the state of the franchise right now, he understands that I
don't know that he does, Beck. I really don't.
Okay. I feel like it's pretty clear that the fan base for the majority are all just fed up right now with this team. And if you want to have any sort of hope that the fan base will stick around for the next few years, you've got to have guys like Alvin Kamara on the team. I understand that it's not going to help you win 5 more games in a season, but you have to have something. There has to be something for the fans to latch on to. If you have nothing, if you don't have a player like Alvin Kamara on the team, then no one's going to show up.
No, I agree that this will make the fans happy, and I'm assuming when this gets posted on YouTube that I will get annihilated on
Maybe.
YouTube, and that's fine.
Maybe.
I'm not here to try to make everybody happy all the time. I'm here to tell you what I think, and sometimes people like that, and sometimes they don't. But this will make the fans happy because they have great memories of Alvin Kamara, and they want Alvin Kamara on their team, and their 12-year-old has an Alvin Kamara jersey, or they have an Alvin Kamara jersey, and they have a nostalgic feel to him. And again, it's reasonable to expect that Alvin Kamara is going to be a good football player in 2 seasons. It is reasonable to expect that. I just don't think the Saints can block for him. I don't think they can stop anybody on defense. I think there's I just don't think that that's a good use
I agree with you.
of money.
I agree with you.
And if you would have told me they signed him to a 2-year extension worth $12 million, so 6 a year, good. That's awesome. You can have Kendre Miller, who's on about $1.3 million, and Kamara on 6. You're paying your 2 running backs $7.5 million a year. That's the same rate that if I look at $7 million a year, that's what James Conner makes. One guy. Okay, that's fine. $12 million a year, I can't deal with that. So we'll see. I hope I'm proven wrong, but I do think that you're right that the fans will be happy about this move. All right, that's segment number 1 here. When we come back, JD PicKell of On3 Sports going to join us, talk some college football. That is next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about LeBear's Baton Rouge. Got to make it your game day headquarters this season. They got the biggest screens around. And now you can bet and dine at ESPN Bet in person. And tomorrow you can bet and dine and play blackjack all that in person with me because I'll be at LeBear's Baton Rouge inside ESPN Bet tomorrow for Thursday Night Football. Always want to remind you to sign up for the Cover 5 SEC contest on the Cover 5 app. You can compete against me and over 100 of our listeners each and every week picking 5 SEC games. Go to the app, enter the code LABRSEC24, and you can pick any SEC games that week. You can play against your friends, enter to win weekly and season-long prizes. If you're not a member, just get that Penn Play app today. LeBear's Baton Rouge, your live sports headquarters. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966 for help.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge. What If Wednesday coming your way in about 15 minutes. Get your what ifs in the Bayou Ford chat, also at Hunt Palmer 88 on Twitter. Got quite a few that have already rolled in. My SEC power rankings are an hour and 12 minutes away. I will tell you, I've got the power rankings right here. We'll get to them again at 2:30. But there are only three stationary squads this week. A lot of movement in the SEC, which has been absolute chaos for the last month. JD PicKell on 3 Sports, host of the Hard Count on YouTube each and every day. I ask you to subscribe up to that channel. Check out your college football content whenever or wherever you may be digesting that. He's always with us here on Wednesdays. JD, how we doing?
Oh, doing good, man. Doing good. It's a big weekend. I know it's kind of lacking the logo power of previous weekends, but still, I think it's going to kind of be a very week 6-ish week 9, if that makes sense.
I'm not sure if a lot of folks in Baton Rouge can name another game that's going on this week besides LSU and Texas A&M. So I don't think there are not a lot of concerns here.
Yeah, as it should be, and the fact that it's in College Station too, I mean, probably increases the anxiety level a little bit. But I'm sure we'll talk about it. I'm excited for that one, man. It'll be fun.
We will talk about it. Let's go backwards first. Georgia kind of flexed the muscles there in Austin. What did you see in that game?
I felt stupid. Felt stupid after that one because I picked Texas, and I'm like, okay, Texas, they are, the time is now. Quinn Ewers, the line of scrimmage, and like Kirby was probably just laughing the whole week. Like he had all of his right where he was, and once again, Kirby Smart is Thanos, snaps his fingers, and his team is. I know this is like not actually within the metaphor, but to keep it like that same vein of the Marvel world, he still has Avengers up front. Kirby Smart's team, it's ridiculous. Like Carson Beck threw 3 picks, they still won by 2 scores. Like it's frightening stuff. Yet again, a Kirby Smart team playing their best football at the right time.
I mean, yeah, they're good, and they showed it in the game. It's starting to look more and more like that was just a bad 30 minutes of football for Georgia in Tuscaloosa. Everything that went wrong, that could go wrong, did go wrong. So we'll see. Speaking of Tuscaloosa, Alabama goes to Knoxville and only scores 17 points. They lose a 24-17. A little wobbly in the Kalen DeBoer era. What's the deal?
Real wobbly, yeah, real wobbly. I mean, honestly, I don't know if you feel the same way, Hunt, but like you just mentioned that Georgia game. I ask myself every weekend since then, did that really happen? Like, because that just feels like such a distant memory of fever dream of sorts. Like, I cannot put a finger on what's going on with Bama. I think the concerning thing for me, I mean, the defense played great. Like, defense, you got 3 first-half turnovers. Like, that should be exactly what the doctor ordered for Kalen DeBoer. And they're unable to capitalize on it. Right? They're unable to make good of those extra possessions. And this was the offense that earlier in the year we're like, hey, I don't know how to stop them. So it feels to me like the lack of answers are the most concerning part, paired along with the idea that I think they need Jalen Milroe's legs to get rolling for the whole mechanism to work. Like, they seem very dependent on that. They're not very good at the cold opening as well. Like the split game or just the head shot vertical, it needs something to be working for that to work as well. So concerned is definitely their label to put down.
Got some cell phone issues there, JD, so we're going to have back disconnect and see if we can call you right back and see if we can reconnect, because there's a lot of games that I want to get to here. I want to get to Miami and Louisville. Obviously, I want to get to his thoughts on LSU and Texas A&M this coming weekend as well, and then maybe some big picture playoff discussion, especially in the Big Ten, with how he feels about Indiana, how he feels about Penn State, and how he feels about how that's going to shake out up there in the Big Ten. So lots and lots to get to. I'm very curious about his pick with LSU and Texas A&M. That game, I mean, I'm looking at the point spread. You're looking at 3.5, and it feels like it's basically a wash in terms of talent. It's just a home field advantage there for Texas A&M. So we'll see what JD's thoughts are on that. And of course, you can check out his YouTube channel, On3's YouTube channel. The Hard Count is his show, and he'll have his picks for all these games coming up as the week does progress. So lots and lots to get to here in our discussion with JD. Again, if you're in the Bayou 4 chat right now and you want to throw us some what ifs, we're going to get to those coming up in 10 minutes when we finish up with JD. Beck, are we still working on things over there? It sounds like we're still working to patch up with JD. Meanwhile, I feel, Oregon's in that Big Ten discussion that we'll have with JD. So it sounds like we're linked back up. We'll see if this sounds a little bit better. But I want to talk about Miami, JD, because they keep winning by the skin of their teeth. They go to Louisville. They don't get any stops, but they score enough. They put up 52 points and win. What do you make of this Miami team that's now 7-0?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping I'm coming through for you here, okay? But what I was thinking about with Miami is I think they're going to lose a game somewhere, but I'm just not so sure that it matters. Like, I think that once they get knocked down and, they hit the canvas, they'll be one of those teams that jumps back up. And with who they have at quarterback, like what Cam Ward's doing, man, he's just on another planet. And so it'll really be, I think, if they end up making the playoff, it'll be a matter of, well, is Cam Ward able to just do Cam Ward things, and is that kind of the end-all, be-all? Like, there's a tremendous amount of variability with them, which makes you nervous. One thought I had about Miami is I'm not so sure we've seen their best football yet from this roster. Because I think the roster going into the year was like what you got fired up about was, okay, you got, some transfer on the defensive line. You got the running back in David Martinez. Like, you got all these pieces, but we haven't seen it really work together in a super complementary fashion just yet. So I think Miami still has a lot in front of them. And, the no stops is concerning. They'll lose somewhere, but I still think they'll be in the playoff, and I think they'll win the ACC.
Are Indiana and Illinois threats to make the playoff without getting to the Big Ten championship game?
I think Indiana is. Indiana absolutely is. I don't believe Illinois is. I think Illinois has too many holes. I think Indiana, honestly, like, here's an interesting exercise. If they had a Michigan helmet, are they a top 10 team? Or are they a top 5 team in the country? If they had a different uniform or a different logo, how differently do we view Indiana? Because, I mean, they haven't not just lost, like, they haven't trailed, huh? And so I think just the over, like for me, I picked Nebraska this weekend going into that game, and I was shocked by just the overall, I mean, engine of that Indiana offense. I understand Curtis Rourke's got to get healthy, but I mean, if you're Indiana, honestly, like, it might be a thing where they make the Big Ten title game, depending on what happens in that Ohio State Penn State game. So I'm curious to see, but I think Indiana absolutely has a chance to, whether they make the Big Ten title or not. I think they're absolutely a college football playoff contender, and I'd be surprised if we don't see them in that field as well.
Obviously, LSU fans are interested in that because you feel like you have one to play with, maybe to get to 10-2, but then you put yourself in this discussion with a lot of teams that are on your level. And I'm curious your thoughts on the Big 12. You got BYU and Iowa State, who are both 7-0. You got Kansas State at 6-1. I'm not asking you to tell me who's in and who's not, but do you believe the Big 12 is going to get 2 teams in, or do you think that's going to be a one-bid league?
I think it'll be a one-bid league.
Okay.
I think BYU will probably be that second team that we're talking about, with Iowa State being the champion. The thing that concerns me about BYU and just the Big 12 overall, like, I've seen zero consistency. And it's one thing in the SEC with, the numbers next to these teams when they play them. Like, like Texas and Georgia, obviously. Like, if Georgia had lost that game, they got a loss to top 5 Bama, number 1 Texas. Okay, they're probably okay. But for BYU, like, they just went down to the wire with Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State now has 4 losses. Like, I'm not convinced that BYU won't lose to someone they're not supposed to lose to. And I think overall that's going to end up kind of being the kiss of death for the Big 12 when it comes to trying to get more than just the champion in.
All right, let's move forward to this coming week. Notre Dame's got to go to East Rutherford, New Jersey, into MetLife Stadium and play a ranked, undefeated Navy team. The Irish are 13-point favorites. Do you think Navy's got a shot here?
Navy absolutely has a shot. I think Notre Dame wins. And the reason why, I think with and I know it's not the same option as we're accustomed to seeing over the course of the last however many years from Navy, but still, at its core, like, option football, they're trying to they're trying to force you into a spot where you are disciplined enough, or undisciplined enough, rather, to where they can make plays. And I think Notre Dame, having the NIU loss already on the resume, is absolutely massive. And in a weird way, like, the fact that they lost that mulligan so early in such an embarrassing way, I'm not so sure that they kind of kickstart the internal engine a little bit. Now, what gets really interesting to me, as much as it's going to benefit Notre Dame to have played Navy by the time they play Army in Yankee Stadium, when they play Army now, the Navy game will have some more data for Army with how to attack them with a similar option attack. So I think Notre Dame wins. I wouldn't be surprised if Navy covered, but I'll take Notre Dame to win, and I think they ultimately end up play that run really well.
If Notre Dame loses one of the Service Academy games and beats USC, say, and they're 10-2 with losses to a Service Academy and Northern Illinois, are they out?
I think they're out. I can't do it. I can't do it. And if it wasn't to NIU, if it was to USC, maybe USC looks okay at the end of the year. We can talk about it. But, like, the NIU loss and the Academy, I mean, even if Academy's a top 25 team, the no conference championship game, yet again, no data point for the last week of the college football season, I think bites them.
All right, let's talk LSU-Texas A&M. Aggies 2.5-point choice there in Kyle Field, 6:30 kickoff. The only 2 unbeaten SEC teams that are left. How do you see it?
I think LSU wins the game. To just put it simply, to leave no suspense there, I think LSU wins the game, and a big reason why. I think this team, and maybe you have a better gauge for this than me, Hunt, but I feel like this team is slowly but surely starting to look more and more Brian Kelly-ish, as LSU teams tend to do this time, October moving to November. And it seems like there's a lot of coming out of that Ole Miss game. Like, for them to go on the road in a letdown spot, just absolutely body bag Arkansas, that to me felt like, okay, they're real deal, like turning the corner here. And I like A&M. I don't know if I trust Connor Wegman just yet against that LSU pass rush. So I think it'll be a good game, but I think LSU ends up leaving victorious from Kyle Field.
I missed one on my notes, so we'll circle back to it. Boise State Friday night at UNLV.
Ooh.
Maybe the last real hurdle for Boise State before they could be potentially a playoff team with the top-ranked group of 5. Is this a stumbling block here?
It's definitely a potential stumbling block. I just love that we got this thing through to Sicko's hour. I mean, like 10:30 Eastern or something, Friday night, 2 Mountain West teams in Vegas. I'm curious to see if we don't get like a rerun of this in the Mountain West when it comes to the conference title game. But yeah, I mean, between the academies and the Mountain West, like this is the show. And kind of a subplot here that I think a lot of folks will hit on is like the national stage, as funny as it is to say, for Ashton Genty, like potential Heisman moment for him if he's able to do what he's done all season long and average like 9 yards a carry or something ridiculous.
I agree with that. I think people will be watching this game, and not a lot of people watch Boise State on Saturdays, but you might watch them late night on Friday if they're on. So that's a reasonable point. If Genty's trying to create, he's got to separate from some of these guys that may have some moments down the stretch. This may be a spot for him. We'll certainly be watching. JD, we appreciate the time. We'll talk next week.
Thanks so much, man. Go Tigers.
JD PicKell on 3 Sports, host of The Hard Count, with us every single Wednesday at 1:15. We come back. It's What If Wednesday on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Neil and Melissa have been running that shop for 40 years. We are inching closer to November, and you feel like hopefully we're beyond hurricane season, but you never really know, and you always know there's another hurricane season coming. Now might be the time you make that call and say, hey, rode out one hurricane here this year. It wasn't a lot of fun. Lost power, the anxiety, not whether or not we're going to have power, whether we can work, or whether we need to evacuate. Just get the generator put in. Get the home standby generator from Boudreaux's Electrical Services put in. Every single Generac home standby generator you purchase from Boudreaux's Electrical gets you a 7 to 10 year warranty. They're going to use the highest quality in tubing and wiring in that installation. They're going to do most of it underground so that it looks presentable in front of your home. And what I never tell you about here with Boudreaux's Electrical is some VIP club you can pay more money to be a part of. When you're a Boudreaux's Electrical customer, you understand the level of customer service that you get, whether it's the maintenance, the installation, just the ease of contact. It's all fantastic because they're great people. Neil and Melissa have run it for 40 years, and Justin, their son, sales manager down there now. Give them a call at 985-397-1562, and that's 985-397-1562, or check out their Gonzales location, brand new, 225-300-9389. But I give you the easy way every single day. It's BoudreauxElectrical.com, BoudreauxElectrical.com.
The only thing scary about the deals at Bayou Ford is if you miss out on them, like $15,000 off F-150. Bayou Ford has $15,000 off Ford F-150. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment.
Dave's back on.
Coors Light. Choose chill.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
The only thing scary about the deals at Bayou Ford is if you miss out on them, like $15,000 off F-150. Bayou Ford has $15,000 off Ford F-150. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
I appreciate JD PicKell for hanging out with us there. A little bit of a cell phone snafu there at the beginning, but it straightened itself out. We had some good information there from JD. He thinks the Tigers take care of business in College Station this weekend. That would make me a happy guy. I would be happier than most if LSU could win in College Station. Not only would that be a win to take control of the SEC, it would be a defeat of Texas A&M. It would be entering a bye week. It would set up just an unbelievable environment inside at Tiger Stadium for Alabama in a couple of weeks. It would just be just wonderful if that could happen. But we won't find out until Saturday. Let's play What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me. And ponder the question, what if?
Alrighty, first one here. What if Blake Baker leaves for a head coaching job this summer?
Look, that's not out of the realm of possibility. I've said this a lot. I feel like there's a really good chance that Corey Raymond and Bo Davis and Brad Davis are here for a long time. This is home for Corey Raymond and for Brad Davis. Bo Davis went to school here. I just don't know that those three guys they're so far along in their career without ever being a coordinator. It just doesn't feel like that's in their immediate future. And I don't think they're going to get pay raises or interest from other places that are going to pry them away. So I think you've got some pillars of that assistant coaching staff that are going to be there. But in real world, like, your coordinators are going to turn over every couple of years. Either they do a good enough job to move on, or they get fired. And that's just always the case. Brian Kelly's track record of hiring coaches, though, is phenomenal. I mean, his defensive coordinators at Notre Dame were Mike Elko, who LSU will see this weekend, Clark Lee, who's doing a great job with Vanderbilt this year. He's done a really good job there. Matt House was a whiff. There's no two ways about that, but he corrected it. He's had really good offensive coordinators. Obviously, Mike Denbrock did a good job for him at multiple stops. He was great here at LSU last year, and we think that Joe Sloan's doing a really good job. And I think that there's a chance that Blake Baker and Joe Sloan aren't here in a couple of years. But that's not has nothing to do with those two guys or who's going to hire them or where they're going to be. It just feels like that's the natural trajectory of things, and I trust Brian Kelly to make that next hire. But again, Blake Baker likes it here, and he makes a lot of money. And if he wants to take the head coaching job at Louisiana Tech, if that comes open, or like, that's going to be a pay cut for him pretty significantly, I think. So it's going to have to be an attractive offer, but inevitably something like that is going to happen. If he does move on, I can't give you the three names that I think Brian Kelly is going to point to, but I do think that he's aware that he may have two rising stars as his coordinators, three if you count Cortez Hankton, and he may have to make that move. So you make sure you've always got a list handy.
All right, next one here. What if LSU goes the rest of the way and wins every game, including the SEC championship.
Well, at that point, you're going to have beaten A&M on the road, Alabama at home, Florida on the road. You're going to go to Atlanta and beat Texas or Georgia. I guess A&M maybe if things go crazy. You're going to get a bye in the first round of the playoffs, and you're a national championship contender at that point. I don't think there's any two ways about that. I don't think that's out of the question. I said yesterday, I don't have the feeling that this team's going to go undefeated the rest of the way, but they may not have to get into the playoff. I'm just at a weird spot with this team where I'm very confident in their improvement. They just don't feel like one of the national championship teams yet to me. Maybe that changes on Saturday. Maybe they go on Saturday and they sack Connor Wigman 6 times and he throws 2 picks and they beat Texas A&M 34-13. And I may come on the post-game show and then here on Monday and go, okay, this is starting to get real. But I'm just giving you on the information I have right now. It just feels like they're good and they're getting better. They just don't feel dominant or elite to me yet. Hopefully that changes. But if they do all that in this what-if scenario, yeah, I'll sing a different tune, I promise you.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just kind of trying to compare where teams were at this point in the season, I guess. Obviously, 2019, they were undefeated at this point, so there wasn't a question about it. But going into 2019, nobody thought that was going to be a national championship team. So you never know. I mean, you never know how the season turns out. I mean, LSU has clearly gotten better every single game.
Yes,
that's just obvious. And so if they keep getting better and they don't hit a ceiling, then they could do that. I mean, obviously, most people don't think that's going to happen, but they definitely could. So moving on here, what if Vandy beats Texas? What will Hunt do?
I feel like I've been fair to Vandy. I moved him up to 8 last week.
You have. You weren't at the beginning, but you're starting to come around to it.
Apologies for not going nuts when they beat Virginia Tech. I just left them where they were. I didn't know what Virginia Tech was, and then they backed me up there by losing to Georgia State.
Tough environment again.
I'm not a Vandy hater.
You're a Missouri hater, that's for sure.
Well, right now I am because I think they stink.
All right, next one. What if, I think this one's from Twitter, what if when LSU wins Saturday, they'll be wearing so here's what happens. LSU is wearing the all whites as Hunt has begrudgingly admitted. They will be wearing the all whites on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
What if they wear that same combo the rest of the year just to spite you? And it says Hunt Palmario. I don't know if this was
that was from Stephen Miller on Twitter.
Okay.
That was from Stephen Miller on Twitter. Look, if they win every game the rest of the way wearing that combination, I'll be ecstatic that LSU is in the mix to win a national championship in football. I will still look at those uniforms on television and be a little bit sad they're not wearing the ones I like. But it's just, I can't help the way I feel about the uniforms. I feel like I get yelled at more for expressing that I like the classic uniforms than the other way around. Like, I'm not like chastising people that like them. I just don't like them, and then people yell at me about it. I think it looks stupid. That's just all I can say about it. But clearly the players like it. We're throwing tradition out the window, which some people like tradition, some people don't care about tradition. Neither one of those is right or wrong. I'm not right for loving tradition. You're not right for hating tradition. Nobody's wrong either. It just is what it is. It's the way you feel. I was curious. I put out a poll today about the uniforms. A lot of people love them. That's fine. I just don't. I just differ in opinion. That's it.
All right. What if Hunt, the good ag, made an appearance on Friday?
That's not going to happen because that went so hellaciously wrong 2 years ago that it's retired forever.
Well, Hunt, the fact that you think that you doing that bid is the reason why LSU lost that game might be a problem.
Beck, you're talking to a guy who now drives to the stadium a different way than he did in the season opener because we lost that game.
Okay, yeah, so you have a problem.
We take River Road now. We don't touch Nicholson because we lost that game, and we're not going that way anymore. So we're 6-0 since. You just tell me how that works.
Okay. Next one. What if Hunt was the GM of the Saints? How would he fix them?
Oh my God. Well, we're trading for draft picks, and we're going to get more draft picks. We're going to rip some of this old talent away. There's going to be dead money on the books, but we're going to free some money up, and we're going to take a lot of draft picks, and it's going to take 2 years, and that's just the way that it's going to be. But thankfully for Saints fans, I'm not the GM, and the Saints are going to try to win the rest of these games, and they're going to try to win next year. So that's the way they'll do it.
What if let's say the Saints end up with let's say they go like 3-14 or 4-12, and they get the 5th pick in the draft. What if there's a quarterback? Is there a quarterback you would take?
I'd take. If I had a top 5 pick in the draft, I would absolutely take a quarterback.
But like, is there one you would take, or what if? I mean, the quarterback class this year hasn't really shaped up very well.
But I would try.
But maybe there's a franchise left tackle out there. The tackle spots are still not slow.
No, but I need a quarterback, and the best way to get good fast is to get a cheap quarterback that's good.
I mean, the Commanders have shown that.
Yeah, and so if I can make that work, and then I can fill in the blanks around it with expensive players that are proven NFL guys, that's what I would do. Now, you could draft Cam Ward or Quinn Ewers or Carson Beck or whoever, and they could just be absolutely atrocious. And you could draft Jake Locker and you stink. But I would absolutely try.
All right, last one here. What if we didn't lose the opener? Where would we stand? And I think this one's obvious, but the path to the playoff would be easier.
It would be easier if you were undefeated, yeah.
It'd probably be number 1, I would think.
Maybe.
Maybe, I mean,
no, Oregon would still be number 1 because they beat Ohio State. You'd be number 2, 3, or 4, and you would, I believe, have the ability to split the next 2 games. As long as you had one of those wins, then I think you could drop the game at Florida, and I still think you would have a chance.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that the loss at Florida is going to be that much different than the loss to USC out in Vegas.
No.
I don't think you could lose both A&M and Bama and feel good about standing on that 10-2 with no wins.
No.
You can't have your bell cow being at Arkansas or Ole Miss at home. But I think you'd be in a really good spot. Unfortunately, they're not quite there, but they're still in a pretty good spot. As good as you could have anticipated after they left Vegas. So that is What If Wednesday on this Wednesday. When we come back, I will tell you about my experience at Pluckers tonight and the fact that I almost choked on my beverage.
Last night?
Yeah.
Okay, you said this night.
I meant last night.
I would have said I didn't know if you were going to Pluckers again tonight.
No, last night, and why I almost choked on my beverage. We'll talk about that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. I got asked yesterday, who's the guy you have that does the bathrooms? I said, David Duvall, One Bath and Closets. Gave the contact information out. Sounds like there's customer coming up because his mom, getting a little bit up in age, got to deal with some safety. Safety's important. One Bath and Closets can help you with safety in the bathroom because it can be a hazardous spot. Walk-in tubs, showers with a bench in them, non-slip floors, handrails, all those things could be the difference in a fall and no fall. And One Bath and Closets can help you out with all of that. David Duvall and his team do it all the time. Financing options are available, 18 months at 0% if you qualify. Start that process with a free consultation today at onebathandclosets.com. That's onebathandclosets.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, you know, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, you know. We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2024 Ram 1500 truck for only $32,898. $32,898 for a new Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road.
Welcome back to the Hunt Palmer Show. Here's your host, Hunt, the uniform czar, Palmer. Which uniform do you hate now?
All right, we're closing up hour number 1 here. SEC Football Power Rankings coming your way in 40 minutes. As I mentioned earlier in the hour, only 3 teams stayed stagnant this week. A lot of shaking up to be done in the SEC Power Rankings, so we'll get to those. Beck, I see you got your Pelicans shirt on today. You fired up for the Pellies tonight?
Yeah, and I'm actually I'm really the most fired up about the fact that we can watch the Pelicans.
That is a plus.
On TV without having to pay for it.
One of the great moves in franchise history.
It really
is actually having the team televised so that the fans of the team could watch the team.
Not drafting Chris Paul, not drafting Zion Williamson, not
Zion's
all those
tummy
things.
still hurt, or is he good?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's still a game time decision, so we'll
Hate
see.
to hear that.
Yeah, unfortunate.
A little bit of a tummy ache there. Well, I'll tell you this. My excitement level for the NBA took a bit of a hit last night when I was at Pluckers.
Okay.
We're there enjoying some sports trivia.
As you do.
As one would. A lot of cheese fries being had, some wings being put down, cold beers available. The TVs were all on. There was Louisiana Tech UTEP on one.
Ooh, wow. That was probably a barn burner, wasn't it?
No, it was not. Nobody could score. I have no idea who won the game, but it was really poorly played.
I think Tech did end up beating the Miners there.
Yeah, well, those teams had 3 wins entering last night. I know that, and it was not well played. But then I turned on, one of the TVs turned on, and it was the Timberwolves and the Lakers.
Okay.
And the first image that I saw was LeBron James, who plays for the Lakers.
He does.
He's their starting power forward.
Yes.
And Bronny James, who also plays for the Lakers. He's their starting bench warmer. And they were there, and I expected them to be there because they both are paid to play by the Lakers. I did not know that Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr. would be there.
Yes.
And that made me choke on my beverage.
Wow.
These 2 guys, Ken Griffey Sr., part of one of the great teams in MLB history, a guy who played 20 years in the majors and hit .297, phenomenal Major League Baseball player, and his son, who was the first pick in the draft and made the big leagues by 20 and went to the Hall of Fame, hitting 600 homers. Those 2 guys who accomplished the feat of playing with one another at the professional level were there to somehow insinuate that LeBron James and Bronny James had reached that company, which is ludicrous.
No, Hunt. I mean, they have reached that level. Obviously,
No,
Bronny James got drafted by the Lakers in the 2nd round. Hunt. He is deserving of
Did you
this spot.
see him go in the game?
No,
I did. He looked like it was very evident who was the guy that wasn't supposed to be out there. He's short. He didn't know where to be. He was running all over the place. He didn't do anything. One time he and LeBron got too close to each other when the shot clock was going down and they were doing this handoff thing and LeBron had to fling up a 3. I cannot believe the Los Angeles Lakers turned an NBA basketball game into a charity case. I can't believe it.
No, you actually should believe it.
They checked in the first half. This is LeBron's fault. I don't think I'm curious, how, he can't possibly play anymore. There are always 3 DNPs on every NBA box score, and clearly he is the worst player in the league.
No, I from what I have read, or at least from what I'm hearing or seeing, is that he will be going to the G League team. I'm not sure it's going to happen this week or what.
It's a charity case. That's just unbelievable.
It was a publicity stunt.
I just don't. That's so pitiful.
It is, yeah.
LeBron, it doesn't matter because the Lakers aren't going to be that good.
They actually won, by the way, too.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch the game.
Yeah, they did win.
I saw it for 6 minutes.
Anthony Davis had a great game.
Great. He's actually an NBA player.
He's actually good.
He should be on the floor. It's just when it's so obvious, it just doesn't feel right to me. And you can't put yourself in this company just because you rigged the I don't know. I shouldn't care.
Yeah, probably not that much.
And it's not going to matter anymore. But when I saw the Griffies there, I was like, oh, so we're all supposed to be in on this thing that this is you two guys did something truly nearly unbelievable, and this is supposed to be on that level.
Yeah, it's equal.
The Griffies hit back-to-back homers as father and son in the major leagues, and I got Bronny out here. It's just sad. I could not. As Randall puts, that kid took a roster spot from a real professional basketball player. It's not Bronny's fault at all.
No, it's not. That's the thing.
100% LeBron's fault. He just doesn't care.
Yeah, I really actually
look at me. Yeah. Look what I can do. Look how I can. It's incredible.
I kind of feel sorry for Bronny in a way.
I do too. He should be starting for a mid-tier college program right now, contributing instead of being paraded out like a show pony. Whack. That's it for hour number 1 here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're going to start talking some LSU and Texas A&M when we come back from Sports Center. Don't go anywhere. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. When you think Genesis of Baton Rouge, you should think luxury because it is a luxury line of vehicles. But you shouldn't necessarily immediately go from luxury to, oh, I can't afford that. Give them a shot. You'd be surprised. The Genesis model, it's luxury vehicles at a reasonable price. You've probably never been by Genesis Baton Rouge because it's pretty new. It's only a year and a half old. But if you're in the market for a new car in Baton Rouge, oftentimes you find yourself on Airline Highway. Just make the one more stop to Genesis of Baton Rouge. They've got phenomenal sedans. They've got SUVs, and they're incredible to look at. They're very, very safe, and they're affordable. It's a luxury experience when you drive a Genesis. How about this? 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, plus 3 years of complimentary maintenance, valet complimentary maintenance. So you drive to work, I need an oil change, need some wipers, need a cabin air filter. Okay, call up Genesis Baton Rouge. They send somebody to you, and they take care of it right there. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2024 Ram 1500 truck for only $32,898. $32,898 for a new Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Join us at Pro Dreams in Mandeville for our special event, A Day of Champions. Meet LSU National Championship winning head coaches Jay Johnson, Skip Bertman, and Paul Maneri. Don't miss your chance to purchase authentic sports memorabilia, autographed by the champions themselves. It's the perfect opportunity to celebrate LSU baseball and take home a piece of history. Visit pro-dreams.com to get your tickets. See you there.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of...
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. DeAndre Hopkins is on the move. The Chiefs finalizing a deal to acquire the 5-time Pro Bowler from the Titans. With the injuries to Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Juju Smith-Schuster, Chiefs have been in the market for a receiver to help quarterback Patrick Mahomes. ESPN NFL analyst Dominique Foxworth.
You see DeAndre Hopkins stepping into that Juju role or that Rashee Rice role. The only difference is both of those guys are more likely to give you yards after catch than DeAndre Hopkins is at this point in his career. But one thing you can trust about DeAndre Hopkins, if you put it in his vicinity, even if he is covered, he's probably going to bring the ball down. He's great with his body, and he understands how to break down zone coverages.
The Titans get a conditional 2025 fifth-round pick and will also pick up $2.5 million of Hopkins' remaining $8 million salary this season. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa back in practice today for the first time since suffering a concussion in Week 2. The plan is for him to play Sunday. Injury-ravaged Browns will start quarterback Jameis Winston versus the Ravens on Sunday. In addition, offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey will take over play-calling duties for Cleveland.
Here's one stat that's super simple to remember. Discover automatically doubles the cash back on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cash Back Match. With Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Half the work week in the rear view mirror. Glad you're hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I apologize for starting this hour off a little bit slow. Something just came across my feed here on Twitter, and I'm researching it, and this is impressive stuff. There is a Twitter post from Luke Evangelist, who is an A&M fan. It says so in his bio. And he is, I believe, I can't promise this. I saw this video literally 95 seconds ago. And I'm 99.2% sure he has AI edited Garrett Nussmeier talking and then thrown it up on Twitter, and it's caught like wildfire. But in the video, Nussmeier says, yes, Kyle Field is loud. It's nothing like Death Valley. And I have interviewed Garrett Nussmeier 3 different times this year, and he never says anything. They asked him about the college football playoff 2 weeks ago, and he said, we play Ole Miss on Saturday. And they asked him if he thought that it was 2 great quarterbacks in the SEC, him and Jackson Dart going head-to-head, and he goes, it's LSU versus Ole Miss. Like, he is intentionally vanilla and bland, and I'm, again, 99.2% sure he would not have said this, but of course I wasn't at the Manning Passing Academy, so I can't swear by it. But I do know that there are a ton of press conference videos where they've AI edited people and put words in people's mouths to say inflammatory things. And I saw it on Twitter, and it's going nuts from the A&M folks, so I just ran over to TexAgs to see if it's gotten there. Well, bang, right there on TexAgs. They're all biting on it, all say, why do they keep doing this? Why haven't they learned? Put this in the pregame hype video. Opposing quarterbacks are stupid. They should be heaping praise on Kyle Field. Everyone is biting on this, and I just can't imagine that Garrett Nussmeier would have said that, knowing that he's from Texas. They're going back to play there. Again, I think that this is just some ruse that's probably going to make all the waves through the Texas A&M message board community. I don't know that it's going to make a difference in the game, but it's impressive what some folks will do to try to get an edge, and it appears that's what's going on here on Twitter. Again, I just saw this 5 minutes ago. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research moving forward, but I can't imagine that Garrett Nussmeier said that, because he's really good at quarterback, really fun to watch, and we did have some fun with him yesterday, and we'll get to some of that sound in the next segment, talking about him running and fist pumping with Brian Kelly, and we talked to him about hospital balls off sound, which was a term that none of us had ever heard before, and he did have some fun with us there. But once those microphones come on and cameras come on, whoosh, you get PC mode Nussmeier, and there's nothing there. So pretty sure an A&M fan just made this up on Twitter, and it's spreading like wildfire. Surprise, surprise. But let's talk about LSU and Texas A&M coming up on Saturday.
Oh, wait.
What's up?
I'm watching the Mini Passing Academy. He literally said that. It actually happened.
Say it's nothing like Tiger Stadium.
So somebody asked him, it was whenever the NCAA football released their toughest places to play rankings, and A&M was number 1.
Okay.
And somebody asked him about that. I mean, I can play it for you right now.
Yeah.
We'll play it here.
What's the source of the video?
It was posted 3 months ago, and it was
okay.
It's that guy. I don't remember his first name, but the Verdon Verdict. He covers LSU.
Okay, yeah, okay.
He's like a college guy,
right?
But he was there, so here it is.
Places to play. Nah, don't even get me started. Is there any way you can get a look into your list, man? Okay, don't even get me started, first off. There's no place like Death Valley at night, first off. It's not even close. Kyle Field is loud, yes, I'll give him that, but it's not Death Valley. The Swamp is loud, it's not Death Valley. Who's to?
Okay, now apologies, because I'm going to play this on my computer because I want to hear this. I want to see if they mixed this a little bit. It's the same type note, but let me see what this sounds like. Okay, so he did change the order of it, but okay, I'm shocked. I'll hand up. I'm wrong.
Well, okay, so
they caught him. This is interesting because they caught him in a summer relaxed mode when he goes, and so I was there.
Yeah.
I know what he looks like on Tuesdays, and it's a completely different tone of voice. You edit his stuff on Tuesdays, and we'll play some of it coming up in the next segment. And it's so vanilla, it's so bland.
It seemed like
they caught him in a summer deal.
Yeah,
you can sometimes get the SEC coaches to loosen up a touch at media days, talk about shoes or whatever. And hand up, I'm stunned. I am stunned that he actually said that.
Well, I think obviously, like you said, it's the summer, so he's not expecting anything he says to be
right. And I think the other piece to this, and I'm trying to now to put words in a college kid's mouth. I'm wrong, by the way. Let's lead the segment off. I got this completely wrong, and now we're 7 minutes in. But they were asking about the video game rankings.
Yeah.
As opposed to what's that gonna be like on Saturday, which we talked to him about yesterday. I'm gonna write a story tomorrow on LouisianaSports.net about what LSU has to do dealing with a really loud crowd, because they had a good one at South Carolina, a good one at Arkansas, and this one will be better than both of those. And I talked to him about it yesterday, and he was like, yeah, I mean, it's going to be really loud. We've got communication that we've got to get through. I got to get to the tackles. I've got to get to the wide receivers. I talked to him about this exact thing yesterday, and it was a completely different tone of voice than that.
And I just think that, again, I think he is in season mode right now. He's not going to say anything that could ruffle any feathers. And I think
I think there's a lot to that.
I would say that what he said in the summer is probably how he really feels. And he's not going to say that in a press conference, 4 days before they play Texas A&M to give them bulletin board material. But unfortunately for him, Texas A&M Aggie fans are very thorough in their research.
They are,
and they went back and found it. So that's what it is.
I'm surprised. And again, before I knew this was actually real, I was like, I don't know that it's going to make a big difference. Texas A&M fans are not going to cheer louder because Garrett Nussmeier said this on in June or whenever the Manning Passing Academy was. But I think it's going to be an incredible environment. I mean, this will be. We talked about the South Carolina environment going into that game and how they were just coming off that Kentucky game and how they were feeling pretty good about themselves. And game day was in town for the first time in 20 years. And like that was going to be a big, big deal to South Carolina. And LSU fell right behind, and it was a loud environment there, and they fought back and they found a way to do it. Everyone says last week that look, Arkansas Razorback Stadium was on fire pre-game, and it was full, and they were ready to roll, and LSU went right down the field and scored a touchdown on the first drive, and things settled down pretty quickly in there. And they're going to go into another Hornets nest this week, and it's going to be a lot to deal with. And LSU did have a pre-snap penalty 7 times in the first half of that game against Arkansas. How much of that was because of the crowd noise? I talked about it on Monday. I said, look, they can be really loud, and you cannot hear the snap count or not hear an audible, and I get that. Them being loud doesn't make you move. Like that was lack of discipline by LSU, in my opinion. But it's going to be really loud again. And I also am going to include in that piece for LouisianaSports.net about the pre-snap penalties and what they've done this week to try to deal with that. There's apparently been a little conditioning that's gone on if you screw up this week. Josh Williams let us in on that nugget yesterday, and Garrett Nussmeier said we own that. We gotta get better at it. And it's the guys that have done it honestly more often than anyone. DJ Chester with the snap infractions has happened, and Will Campbell is jumping offside. I mean, he's got to have 4 or 5 of those at this point through 7 games. So. It's gonna be loud in there, and they've got apparently this pregame hype video that they play in College Station, and I guess they'd have to ask for the rights to this video theoretically, but I would imagine whoever gave it to them probably will give them that. We'll see if they decide to play it then. Again, I'll sit here and tell you, like, I am borderline stunned that the guy that I have talked to, and keep in mind, we have not heard from Garrett Nussmeier in 3 years. He's been the backup quarterback. He doesn't do interviews. My first real exposure to him as an interviewee was before and after USC, and then we've talked to him 2 times since. We talked to him before Ole Miss, before Arkansas, and then here before Texas A&M, and he has just been monotone and cliche-ridden, and I'm stunned that he sat there and goes, "It's not even close. The swamp, not even close." Like that is. It seems counterintuitive to the guy that I saw.
Just a whole
previously.
different scenario.
It's a whole different setting there at the Manning Passing Academy. So hey, there's Hunt Palmer making a fool out of himself on live radio, suggesting that
Sorry to do that to you, Hunt.
Hey,
but
that's the beauty of live radio. And I, as I've said a bajillion times, have almost no pride when it comes to this. If I get proven to be an idiot, I'll get proven to be an idiot. There'll be times I get things right. There'll be times I get things dead wrong. And I did leave myself 0.8%. So 8 out of 1,000 there I gave myself, and here we are. That's the percentage that I had to use because it sounds like Garrett Nussmeier did do that. Quality crack research there from you.
Yeah,
I would have done that in the break if I had enough time. It was literally, we were in Sports Center and I saw this and I went, hold on, that looks fake to me. Because have you seen the press conferences that people are doing?
Yeah,
where guys get up there and they say something that they would never say.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, and I'm like, anybody could do that with anybody, and I figured they had done that with Garrett Nussmeier. Dead wrong. So we were supposed to talk about key matchups in that segment and hear some sound from Garrett Nussmeier. Instead, we'll do all that coming up next in 15 minutes, our SEC Power Rankings, the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com is the website. A lot of folks going to be watching football in South Louisiana this weekend. Watch parties will be aplenty. Make your home the go-to home for the watch party. Or if you don't want to watch the game with anybody because you like to sit by yourself and not talk to a soul while you're watching LSU football, that happens too. Why not just make it the best viewing experience you possibly can? Audio Video Security Solutions can help you with all that. They can supply the television. They can wire your home for surround sound. They can put in the wiring so that you can sync all the speakers in the kitchen and the living room and outside, so you don't have the volume at different levels and you don't have the speech at different times and you've got folks reacting one time, not another. You can fix all that with the folks at Audio Video Security Solutions and make your home the go-to game watching home. Mitchell Fisher and his local team are fantastic to work with. Installation's great. Customer service after the installation is fantastic as well. Here's Mitchell Fisher, the owner of the company's cell phone. 225-439-7920. Again, that's 439-7920. If you're ever thinking, I'd really like to know what that place Hunt always talks about is, but I can't think of it, go to LouisianaSports.net, click on the tab that says Our Partners, and go to My Show. You'll find all my sponsors right there. Audio, Video, Security Solutions is one of them. Or you can check them out online, avssla.com. That's avssla.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 7.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show with former Texas A&M Yell leader, Hunt Palmer. Giga Maggies.
All right, SEC Power Rankings coming your way in 13 minutes. Here's a fun exercise that we'll do. Since we just spent that whole segment, like 15 minutes, talking about a Manning Passing Academy bite from 3 months ago that we weren't even planning on talking about, I'm going to see if Garrett Nussmeier gives me a little bit of redemption, because I have not heard 3 of these cuts. These were given to the video interviewees, and I was with the print team interviewing Josh Williams at this time, so I haven't heard these. But I know what they're about, and I'm going to guess that Garrett Nussmeier does nothing but heap praise on A&M and dismiss any outside chatter. So let's start with the atmosphere at Kyle Field. I'm going to guess that he's pretty reverent.
I mean, obviously we acknowledge, that it's a tough environment. It's a tough place to play. It's going to be loud. It's going to be exciting, But, like I said before the Ole Miss game, it's real easy to get caught up in the extracurriculars of what this game means, all the different things that play into it. And, we can think about those all week and then lose the football game, and then it won't matter. So, like I've said many, many times, for us, we're playing a football game this Saturday. And we're focused on us. We're focused on executing the best of our ability and attacking our opponent.
I mean, that's exactly what I would think he would say. It's going to be loud, but we got to focus on us. It's just a football game. Execute. Like all these boring cliches that I talked about in that first segment. I want to hear what he had to say about the playoff. I'm going to guess he didn't get too far ahead of Texas A&M.
I try to get lost in it. We play A&M this week, Saturday night at College Station. So that's all I'm focused on right now. Watching these guys on tape, watching us, figuring out the game plan, where to attack, things like that. And that's all our focus is. Everything else that could happen. Like I said, we try not to worry about the extracurriculars. Whatever happens, happens. I know for us, we're focused on going to play a football game.
We're focused on going to play a football game, no extracurriculars, like just a complete opposite tone of that last message. So I was rooted in truth with what I was talking about there. Let's also hear Garrett Nussmeier talking about Nick Scorton, who is the great defensive end at Texas A&M. I wrote a piece up on LouisianaSports.net about 3 key matchups in this game, and Scorton is one of those. This is what Nussmeier had to say about him.
Yeah, he's a good football player. We got some really good tackles, though. And so, I got very strong belief in my guys. We respect him. We understand he's a good football player. But at the end of the day, like I said before, we're focused on, our job, focusing on our assignment each play and executing the right way. He
turned Kyle Field, playoff chatter, and Nick Scorton into we got to focus on what we're doing on a football game. All 3 of them.
It almost makes me think that somebody should do a sketch or a skit about interviewing football players and just ask them the most outlandish stuff, and they just answer every question the same way with the same answer.
Yeah, for sure. Dan Levitard had a show where he would
the useless sound.
He would take
they still
all
do
the
that.
coaches'
Yeah,
bites.
it's awesome.
That's all cliches.
Yep.
Neil McCready, he actually does this. I thought about this back before that we had launched the site about writing something like this. Neil McCready's got a segment after every press conference that's what he said and what he meant, and he'll actually put the quote and then he'll say this is what he meant to say, which is good content as well, because this is the kind of stuff that you get. God bless them. LSU's last 2 quarterbacks have been really fun to watch on the field and really good. You're just not going to get a lot of exciting sound from them. But I do want to talk about Scorton to this point. He is awesome. On Mel Kiper's latest big board, he is a top 10 player in this draft, number 9. He is 6'4", which is not super long, but he's 285 pounds, and he's really strong on that frame, and he can move. If you watch some of that, he led the Big Ten in sacks last year for Purdue, and this year he is 6th in the country in tackles for loss. He's got 11 tackles for loss. He's got 4 sacks. He had 2 sacks in the Arkansas game. One of them was a strip sack late in the game of Taylor Green that iced the game, and he's going to be a big deal in this game. Now, as Garrett Nussmeier talked about in that clip, we got 2 pretty good tackles as well, is what he said. And so Emory Jones and Will Campbell will both get their opportunities against Scorton. I went and looked at the highlights from this year, and Scorton does line up on both ends. They move him around, similar to what LSU does with Braden Swinson. They'll move him to different sides. So it will be Campbell and it will be Jones at any given time. And he's really difficult to deal with. He took the Arkansas game over. A&M kind of got fortunate there. The number 1 sack guy in the Big Ten at Purdue is from Bryan, Texas, which, if you're familiar, Bryan and College Station are sister cities there. So he grew up in the shadows of A&M's campus, decided he wanted to come home, and he's been a force. And one of the keys in this game, for sure, is going to be A&M's ability to get home to Garrett Nussmeier. No one's been able to do it, and A&M's front's very good. I don't know where it is in relation to South Carolina and Ole Miss. We know that South Carolina gave LSU some trouble early in the game. They got the only 2 sacks this year. Dylan Stewart and Kyle Kennard were tough to deal with, but LSU held up okay and allowed Nussmeier to throw for over 300 yards in that game. And they also ran the ball okay. And Ole Miss was unable to get to Nussmeier for a sack on 56 dropbacks. So that's a huge matchup in this game. If Mike Elko has it his way, like any defensive coordinator, obviously, he will get home with 4, and Scorton is chief among those. Obviously, Shamar Turner and Shamar Stewart are good players as well. But Scorton's the dude, and LSU's going to have to be aware of where he is, so is Garrett Nussmeier. And if LSU can silence those guys, I really and truly believe that, unlike my feeling last week about Arkansas, I think this week Elko's going to send the cavalry. He's going to pressure. He's going to try to get to Garrett Nussmeier before Nussmeier can take advantage of an iffy Texas A&M secondary. And I think Kyron Lacey and C.J. Daniels and Aaron Anderson and Xavier Thomas and Mason Taylor and Trey Green are trouble for A&M's secondary much of the night. This is my contention now after watching the SEC for 2 months. If you haven't played LSU, Georgia, or Ole Miss, you haven't played a really good passing offense. A&M has been hit or miss passing the football. Oklahoma cannot throw the football. Mississippi State early in the year couldn't throw the ball very well at all. Auburn is a mess across the board. Florida with Lagway, it's a little bit clunky in the passing game. South Carolina is a mess throwing the ball with Lenore Sellers. Kentucky, a complete mess throwing the ball. Vanderbilt doesn't want to throw the ball. Missouri, been a mess pretty much across the board. Like, if you have played Arkansas, Taylor Green, good against Oklahoma State, not so good in a lot of other games. LSU has very clearly been a step up in passing game competition for Ole Miss and Arkansas. Those two teams had not been hit hard against the pass, and LSU had a lot of success. Against Ole Miss, Nussmeier threw for 340 and the 3 scores. Against Arkansas, it wasn't the 3 scores. There were no scores, and it wasn't the 340. It was 260, but it was I don't know that I'm going to feel like you're going to put LSU in a bottle because you stopped Taylor Green and Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway and Brady Cook and who's their other SEC game that they played thus far? I'll get there. Mississippi State. And they didn't really stop Mississippi State that much with a true freshman quarterback. So this is a step up for them, and I think they're gonna struggle to cover. And the way that you compensate for that is you go get them. And at home, in that environment where the tackles may not hear as well, and you've got one of the best pass rushers in the conference, I think they're going to send a lot of pressure. Scorton is, I think, chief among those guys, and LSU's got to be aware of where he is. Trey'Daz Green's a guy that I mentioned earlier. In fact, this is number 2 that we want to play. And Garrett Nussmeier talked about what he could potentially add as a wide receiver and what he saw for him when he played more than half the snaps in Fayetteville.
Obviously, he's a very special player because of, I guess you could say, the amount of different things that he can do very well because of, his size, his physical ability, and also, his athletic ability. And so you can move him around, put him in different spots, put him in different formations that try and isolate different things in a defense that we're trying to attack with a bigger body who's also, dang near just as fast as a receiver. So he's a mismatch no matter where he's at. I think something that's grown so much in his game as well is his ability to get inside the box and block too. And so, adding that to his game has made him so dynamic.
I like Trey'Daz Green in any matchup because even though he may not know every play, even though he may not get every block, when he gets out into the passing routes, there just aren't any players on the defense capable of matching up with him athletically. They don't exist. There's not one in college football that is 6'7", that can run like that can jump like that. There aren't any. And so while he may be compromised from a blocking perspective, he may be compromised that he doesn't quite know every nook and cranny of the playbook, or maybe doesn't know every technical route running thing that he needs to do. He can run and jump. So I like him in just about every matchup that there is out there. The other guy that LSU will have out in the passing game from that position is Mason Taylor, and Nussmeier talked about having that guy in big moments that you can kind of lean on.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable player. Somebody that, like I've said many times, I always look to when things break down, just because he's always where he's supposed to be. And, I feel like we have good chemistry just working together over the years. And unbelievable football player, an unbelievable talent. His work ethic is unmatched. And, it means everything to him. He never wants to let us down. I can tell just, he never wants to let me down. He's going to try and make any catch he can. And I think that's what's so special about him is, I have a trust in Mason that, he's going to make the play no matter what.
Mason Taylor's been everything you expected him to be this year. I think he's got a case to be the first-team All-League tight end, and for good reason. He's really talented, and he's really consistent. You just don't see Mason Taylor dropping balls. You see him making plays, certainly on third down, and none have been bigger thus far than the fourth down catch. 2 catches, honestly, but one of them was tougher than the other against Ole Miss on the last drive. But he's been awesome. They're going to lean on him certainly in the game on Saturday night. So that's enough sound from Garrett Nussmeier and my reaction to other sound from Garrett Nussmeier in the first hour. If you're looking for our LSU football content, wherever you may be or whenever you may be able to listen, Hunt on LSU is where you can find it on YouTube. All LSU football all the time. We'll have previews of the games, reaction to the games, sound. It's all football. There's no fall baseball baked into Hunt on LSU. That is all football all the time. So subscribe up to the channel. You can get it to your homepage on YouTube each and every day. All right, we've reached that time in the week. Let's take a time out, come back with some SEC football power rankings on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports, EvolvePT.com. You're talking to Robbie Bolton. He has probably far too often, quite frankly, folks come to him because They were sent somewhere for physical therapy, and they just didn't see any results because there wasn't any hands-on therapy going on. There wasn't any hands-on rehabilitation going on. It was just, here's some stretches you can do. I mean, tell me how you feel in an hour. Tell me how you feel next week. That's never going to be your experience at Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. You're going to walk in there and you're going to see all their state-of-the-art equipment. You're going to see their staff there working with people, and they're going to work with you from start to finish to make sure you can get back to being your active self. They work with youth athletes all the time who have been injured and are trying to get back on the field. They work with people in middle age all the time who want to get back to being the active person they were before they got hurt. Doesn't matter where the injury was sustained or how. Car accident, just hurt playing sports, slept wrong, not really sure where the pain came from. They can help you get back to being your active self, do all the soft tissue manipulation, do dry needling, cupping, scraping, and they can also measure your progress with the isokinetic testing that they can do right there on site. They're on Starring near Highland Road. It's Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports, evolvept.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're...
This is the Hunt Palmer Show. Hopefully Hunt remembered to bring his laptop charger. Nah, there's no chance.
All right. Have to work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Some good Saints injury news coming out of camp. Looks like Nick Saldiveri and Derek Carr are kind of the only two guys not working out today. So a lot of guys returning from Olave, Taysom Hill, Cesar Ruiz. A lot of guys back in action today. So get that full report coming up a little bit later. Yeah, certainly back. If you're looking for an attendance report right now, you can go to LouisianaSports.net. That is up on the homepage. And certainly Matt will have more in about 30 minutes on After Further Review as that official designation comes out. That's just an attendance report from those who were at practice. But the Saints will release their first injury report of the week coming up here in about 30 minutes. So Matt will certainly talk about that on After Further Review. As I've teased a couple of times, only 3 teams held their position in this week's edition of the SEC Football Power Rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings. The Georgia Bulldogs.
We start at the top. Georgia has regained the top spot from Texas after their win in Athens. Their defense finally showed up in Austin. Only gave up, they shut them out in the first half and didn't give up much. 15 points, incidentally, the most lopsided defeat number one has taken at home since Pittsburgh when Dan Marino was there in 1982. That's pretty impressive by the Georgia Bulldogs. They are the best team in the SEC by my estimation. Number 2.
The Texas Longhorns.
Only dropped them to 2. They're still good. They didn't run the ball against Georgia. 63 yards on 21 carries. That's not going to get it done, but they're still a good team. They're still good on defense, and I think they're going to be heard from in the college football playoff. But I think Georgia's better, so Texas is number 2. Number 3.
The LSU Tigers.
I did it. I got the Tigers up at number 3. I don't know if I'm 100% convicted in it, but the defense looks a lot better, and I trust this passing offense as much as I trust anybody else's passing offense. So we'll see if they can go pay that off and remain in that spot with a win over Texas A&M. I need the defense and running game to prove it one more time, and I think I'll feel better about it, and that's the opportunity they've got on Saturday. LSU is at number 3.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
I'll take the Rebels here at number 4. I'll say this again. I watched them with my own 2 eyes in Tiger Stadium. They look like a pretty good team to me. I know they got beat by Kentucky, who apparently stinks. I know that it hasn't been perfect all season long, but they did dominate South Carolina, and they were 1 play away from going to Tiger Stadium and winning. I think it's a pretty good team. Question is, can they run the table to get in the playoff or not? I hope that it's not. Texas A&M! The Aggies stay pat at 5. 3 of their 4 SEC wins are by double digits. They are really good on defense on paper. They held Florida to 52 yards rushing. Arkansas only 100. Missouri 68. That run defense looks pretty good. I do not trust Connor Wigman, and that's a big problem here. But I've got the Aggies at number 5.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
I guess I don't trust Jalen Milroe either. The Tide all the way back at number 6 this week. That is 3 spots back. Sometimes their quarterback's good. Sometimes he stinks. Sometimes their defense is good. Sometimes it stinks. That's not been the case for 17 years. They are schizophrenic a little bit. They're not as consistent as they once were, and they've lost a couple games because of it. I've got Alabama at number 6.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
I know the Vols beat Alabama. I know. But I can't do head-to-head on all these, and I think I trust Alabama a little bit more. If that game was in Bryant-Denny, it may go a different way. Sometimes Tennessee looks great on defense. They're number 2 in the SEC in total defense, and they've held all 4 SEC opponents to 19 points or fewer. But sometimes when that defense is good, the offense doesn't show up, and that's why they got beat at Arkansas and why they've been in a couple of dogfights of late. But the Vols sit there at number 7.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Didn't move them. I'm just proud of Vanderbilt, even though it didn't go great against Ball State. I'm proud of Vanderbilt for working their way up to a letdown game. That's impressive to me that you could get to a letdown game. And they did. They're number 8.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
South Carolina moves up 1 spot after just eviscerating Oklahoma. Their defense had 9 sacks on Saturday, and they'll get after you. They're number 2 in the nation in sacks. They're the only team to get home against LSU thus far. I don't trust Lenore Sellers. I don't trust that offense week in and week out. But they killed Oklahoma in Norman, which, by the way, Oklahoma has had Shane Beamer and Josh Heupel go in there and win. Former staffers go in there and win. South Carolina moves up 1 spot to number 9.
The Florida Gators.
Florida's playing better, y'all. They ran for 197 yards on Kentucky and threw for 279 more. DJ Lagway is really talented. They're playing better. I don't know if Billy Napier can survive Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, this whole deal, but Florida State looks winnable. They're playing better. I got them at number 10. That's up 4 spots from last week.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Hogs are just a mediocre football team. That's what they are. They need to beat Mississippi State because Ole Miss and Texas are coming up next. But Arkansas is fine. They're not terrible. They're not the worst team in the league like I thought they might be. but they're not good. And LSU kind of exposed that on Saturday. Tigers are just way better than Arkansas across the board.
The Missouri Tigers.
Missouri moves up a spot. I don't feel great about that, but I felt like I had to do it. I just don't think the team's very good. Props to Cook for coming out of the hospital and leading a game-winning drive against a bad Auburn team, but I don't think Missouri's great. I've got him at number 12.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Kentucky comes in at number 13. Against South Carolina, they were terrible. Against Ole Miss, they were good. Against Georgia, they were really good. Against Vanderbilt and Florida, they were terrible. It's just a week-to-week thing. They've got an inconsistent quarterback, a good defensive front, and a bunch of variables outside of that. I think folks in Kentucky are starting to inch towards basketball season, especially after getting just emasculated by Florida in the swamp, but I got them at number 13.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
They're out of the cellar. They were 16th for 3 weeks there. I have moved them out. Michael Van Buren is moving the football for them. They're playing kind of inspired. They went to Athens and were competitive. They were competitive with Texas A&M. In Starkville, they're not good. In fact, they're bad. But they're playing with some spunk. They're playing with some energy. Levy's got the students believing. They're showing up. I think they got a chance against Arkansas this week. That's why I moved them up to number 14.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
Woof. They're averaging 12 points per game in SEC games. In 4 SEC games, they've got 4 touchdowns on offense. They fired their offensive coordinator on Sunday. I don't know if that's going to make things any better. I think they're real bad, and I cannot believe Oklahoma and their welcome to the SEC year is now 15th in the league by my estimation.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn backs up to the cellar. They can't win a game. I mean, listen to this. The Auburn Tigers are 3-10 in their last 13 Power 5 games. 3-10. They are getting beat by everybody. They're not great on offense. They're not great on defense. Statistically, they do stop some people and they do move the ball, but they don't score enough and they give up too many points and they can't win a game late. Couldn't beat Arkansas in the closing minutes. Couldn't beat Missouri in the closing minutes. Got beat badly by Cal. It's just a bad team. Hugh Freeze has got a bad roster and he's doing a bad job. And Auburn is number 16. Those are my SEC power rankings. Georgia, Texas, LSU, 1, 2, 3. Ole Miss, A&M, Bama, 4, 5, 6. And you got Tennessee, Vanderbilt at 8, South Carolina at 9, Florida at 10, number 11, Arkansas, 12, 13, 14, Missouri, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. And the bottom dwellers, Oklahoma at 15, Auburn at 16. How'd I do?
I'm okay with it. I do think I think Oklahoma's really bad. However, they have a conference win. So I think them being look, credit to Mississippi State for being in these games the last few weeks against really tough teams.
Yes.
But they're still losing. Like they haven't won a conference game yet. So
who was Oklahoma's conference win against?
I understand it was against Auburn.
Number 16 in the rankings, baby.
I get it. But still, they have a conference win.
And they were trailing in that game by 2 touchdowns in the second half.
It's a win, Hunt. It's a win. I understand.
Because Auburn stinks out loud.
Yes, I know. But Mississippi State still has yet to win.
Mississippi State and Oklahoma tomorrow in Washington, D.C. Who you got?
That's a good question, actually.
That's a great question. What's the answer?
The answer is probably Mississippi State.
It's not probably. Mississippi State scored 31 points against Georgia in Athens, and they scored some points on Texas A&M, whose defense is good. So if you're telling me that Mississippi State's going to score 21 points in that game, well, then Oklahoma's done. Oklahoma could play until Christmas. They're not scoring 21 points. They're atrocious.
They are.
They're the worst team.
See if it gets any better, but
they're the second worst team in the league. Auburn's the worst team in the league because they don't beat anybody ever.
And I mean, of course, the chat is upset with Vandy staying at 8. However, I have to agree with you there because
they're right behind a team that beat Bama this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way they can move up. There's nowhere to move up for them.
I guess I can move them in front of Bama.
Maybe you could move them in front of Bama, who has 2 losses now. But I don't know, man. That's tough.
What a time to be alive. LSU's in a top 10 showdown, top 15 showdown for the control of the SEC, and I'm debating whether or not Vanderbilt needs to go ahead of Alabama in the power rankings.
Now that you say that, I actually do think, Tennessee should be 6, Vandy 7, Bama 8.
Bama
because
8?
Vandy beat Bama. They
Bama
only have
beat
1 loss.
Georgia.
They have 1 loss.
Bama beat Georgia.
They got 2.
No, Vandy's got multiple losses. They have to.
No, they have 1.
They lost to Georgia State and who else?
That's it.
No, that's not right. Vanderbilt lost to somebody else.
Oh, yeah. They lost to Missouri. They lost to Missouri. The game
Missouri
they should.
stinks.
Okay, but they literally missed like 3 field goals. They should have won that game.
That's because you're a bad team. Coach Lee, I appreciate your efforts. You're still not going to be in the. Well, they're in the top half.
They're in the top half.
What do we got? Vanderbilt. Who would have known the day that Vanderbilt would be 2 spots behind Bama in the power rankings and 8 spots ahead of Auburn?
Yep.
7 spots out of Oklahoma.
The world in which we live.
Good on you, Doors. All right, we'll come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. Check out the entire inventory at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every car that's on the lot at Genesis of Baton Rouge is on the website at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Go by and see him, Airline at PQ, right there near Women's Hospital. I tell you this all the time, but that showroom and then the service aisle is just an incredible place to go relax. They've got this waterfall with rocks. They've got an unbelievable coffee maker. Ellen, who's in sales with us here, just got a cup of coffee because the coffee maker was so awesome. She doesn't even really drink coffee. She's like, I got to use this thing. I was over by the snacks, hanging out right there. It feels like a hotel lobby that you're in instead of on a service aisle. Now, you don't have to go sit in the service aisle because they've got valet service there at Genesis Baton Rouge. They'll go pick your car up, work on it, and bring it back to you if need be. But if you want to go hang out there, I would highly recommend it. It's an incredible showroom and facility they've got there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Check out their inventory online, genesisofbatonrouge.com, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Congratulations to Kevin Helt Sr. from Baton Rouge. Kevin is the Week 8 winner in our 2024 College Football Pick'em contest and wins a Hooters wing party for 10 people. Don't forget to make your picks for round 9 by Thursday. That's tomorrow at noon. Weekly winners will receive a Hooters wing party for 10 people, and the first place season-long champion will receive a 75-inch 4K flat-screen TV and soundbar, plus free Hooters wings for an entire year. It's the 2024 College Football Pick'em presented by Hooters. And check out the Pelicans tonight on our station, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, the new home for the New Orleans Pelicans. They're going to be opening the season against the Chicago Bulls. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That sounds like a 1-0 start. Bulls
Yeah,
stink.
it does. They're not good.
Bulls haven't been good in, check my notes here, 26 years.
They were pretty good with Derrick Rose. He
One
made
year
a
they
conference
were.
finals, right?
He did. I was there for that run. My buddy and I were in Chicago to go to a Cubs game, and they were in the playoffs. It was very fun. We watched it at a bar. We also watched the Blackhawks one night, which was also
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing, but they were in the playoffs too, and people were going nuts in there. It was great. Very much enjoyed that. Pels, 82-0?
Well, unfortunately, Zion is a game-time decision as well as Dejounte Murray. So
His tummy hurts. I heard that.
Yeah, he's going to need to get some Pepto-Bismol in his system, and hopefully he can play. We'll see.
Get out there and just go play
Yeah,
some
you got to play, man. It's the
basketball.
opening.
Suck it
It's
up.
the first game of the season. You got to go play.
Bronny can play. Zion can play.
I agree.
And I haven't gotten your thoughts on this yet. I'm very curious. No judgment passed. I want your
Okay.
honest opinion. What do you think of the A&M blackout?
I think it is pretty dumb.
Okay.
Well, let me say this. Okay, the fans doing it, I guess that's okay. I mean, I don't know why they couldn't do a maroon out or something like an actual color of their team would make sense. But the fan thing, that fan aspect, I get. The jerseys, I agree with you. They're putrid and they shouldn't wear them. But the whole fan, like, that's the thing about LSU. Obviously, we have really good fans, but we can never get the color game. It
just
never
didn't
works
take.
out.
They tried.
They
it just
tried.
didn't take.
I think they still put on the schedule like the purple game and the gold game, but no one cares. It just doesn't happen. But that's maybe the one flaw that we have as fans.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it's okay. Who cares?
All right, take it or leave it.
Alrighty, first one here. Vanderbilt has installed temporary netting in front of the visitors section of First Bank Stadium ahead of its game against Texas this Saturday. This was not a troll move by the Doors, and they actually are doing it for a good reason. Take it or leave it.
This is not a real story, is it?
It is. It actually happened.
I mean, I'll take it. I think it's great.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I think it's funny. If you're not going to win that many football games, you might as well have some fun at somebody else's expense.
They're winning a good amount of football games, actually. Huh? They've already won 5 this year.
More than Auburn. That's incredible stuff. Texas obviously threw a bunch of stuff on the field last week, so they're not going to allow that. And they've got the folks at Vanderbilt that can get some nets installed in the course of a week, so good on them.
I actually think that it might be
For the
not
construction
real.
site?
It may not be real. I'm not sure, but either way, it's a funny
Doesn't
story.
seem likely.
Probably not. But next one here, Lakers head coach J.J. Redick said he was going to send in a request to the league to use worn-in basketballs as opposed to the new ones that they used in the season opening win against the Timberwolves. The Lakers were 5 of 30 from 3. The balls were the problem. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. However, I'm thinking about this. Like, everybody likes to shoot kind of a worn-in ball a little bit more than a slick one that's new. But I would imagine, like, just my guess, that the NBA's like got new balls for every game. Maybe that's wrong, and they use balls for a whole season or something. I'd like to get the shelf life of an NBA game basketball.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this: there's one guy I trust about how it's supposed to feel. It's probably J.J. Redick. He shot it pretty well for about 25 years.
Well, he did.
Between college and the NBA.
He did. The only problem is that the Boston Celtics made 29 threes in their first game.
Maybe they had worn-in balls.
Okay, but I guess it's possible. I'd be interested to see if they did or not. But that's a bit of a weird thing there with the Lakers. But they still won the game, so who cares? Last one here. Shohei Ohtani's 50-50 home run ball fetched a record $4.39 million at auction, making it the most expensive home run ball ever, topping the unfortunate soul who bought Mark McGwire's 70th home run ball for $3 million. So that ball is probably not worth much.
I don't know who ended up with 62 because nobody caught it. It went right over the fence.
Yeah.
Down there and rattled around. So maybe some like maintenance worker would have gotten number 62 of McGwire's. And I wonder, because I feel like 62 would have sold for more than 7.
You would think, yeah.
It felt like a bigger moment. I mean, I was glued to that every single day as a 12-year-old, and I was a huge Sammy Sosa guy, and I hated McGwire. So when I watched that 60-second home run, it broke my heart.
But $4 million for a baseball, take it or leave it.
I always say this when we talk about it. It depends. If you've got $4.1 million to your name and you spend it all on a baseball, probably not a wise move. If you got $921 million to your name and you spend $4 million on a baseball because you want to have it, great. I don't know how much that ball appreciates in value or not. If you just want to have it, if you're buying it as an asset to sell later, but I'm not going to spend the $4 million on a baseball personally. We're going to have to up the spend of all the sponsors here.
Yep.
Buy a reasonable amount for me to get to that $4 million to buy the baseball. But it's not going to be for me. But if you've got more than $4 million and you want to get that baseball, have at it. Shohei Ohtani, pretty good. 50 home runs and 50 steals in a season, pretty good. And I keep going back to this. I knew Shohei Ohtani threw 100 miles an hour. Was one of the best starting pitchers in the majors. I knew he was one of the best hitters in the majors. I did not know he could steal 50 bases.
Yeah.
And the fact that he did that just furthers my point that he is very much akin to a 14-year-old playing 8-year-old baseball. They just hit it over the fence every time, strike everybody out, steal base whenever they want, and he does it in the majors. That's pretty good.
A quick one real quick. Jari Evans advanced to the next stage of voting for the Pro Football Hall of Fame of 2025 class. He's one of 50 selected from the modern era nominees. Evans will get in. Take it or leave it.
Eventually, I'll take it. I doubt this year. It's just like you always have that backlog thing. It's such a dumb rule that you can only allow so many in a year. If you're a Hall of Famer, just let them in. If you get enough votes, you're in.
Yeah,
I don't know why we have to pigeonhole the thing like that. But he'll have to wait his turn, like Mawai did, like Faneca did, as offensive linemen who don't get as much notoriety. There just aren't that many offensive linemen that you go, oh, yep, Hall of Famer. But I think Jari Evans should get in. He was part of the best offensive line in the NFL and a big reason Saints won the Super Bowl. So I think he will get in. Just probably going to take a minute there. So that's it for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Opened up the show talking about the Saints signing Alvin Kamara. If you want my thoughts on that, they're probably not going to be super popular, but you can check that out at Hunt on Saints on YouTube. JD PicKell was with us talking about college football. He likes the Tigers to beat Texas A&M. You can go listen to that on demand as well. It was What If Wednesday. A lot of uniform talk in What If Wednesday. The first segment of the second hour went off the rails because Texas A&M found a video of Garrett Nussmeier actually saying something controversial, which stunned me, and I looked like an idiot on the air. If you want to hear that, go listen to it wherever you find your podcast. That's going to do it for us today. Matt's going to drive you home on After Further Review. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. Jonathan Carbo, fantastic insurance broker right here in Baton Rouge. No matter where you are statewide, Jonathan can help you with not only your property and casualty needs, but also your group and employee benefits. Jonathan and I had a discussion about insurance. Obviously, I was in the game for 7 years there, and he talked about what he thinks insurance and the relationship between a business owner and the broker should be. It should be one of implicit trust. If the only relationship you have with your broker is that he gave you the cheapest quote, that might be a warning sign that things aren't awesome. You need to make sure that your policy is correct. You need to trust your insurance broker like you trust your CPA, like you trust your attorney, because the time to start digging through those policies is not after the car accident. It's not after the hurricane comes through. It's at renewal to make sure that everything is right. And Jonathan Carver and his team at the Highland Insurance Group will make sure that your coverage is right. And of course, they will shop for you to find the best rate possible. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Check them online, HighlandIG.com. That's HighlandIG.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team.